We begin the vetting all this week and next of the extreme 2020 Democratic candidates as we examine the radical views tonight of Kamala Harris, the senator from California. Now, later we have a mini monologue on the double standard between the treatment of Justice Smollett versus Justice Kavanaugh versus the Covington kids. But we begin tonight with an important Hannity watch on the radical far-left Democratic Party and the dangers of socialism. And we are once again featuring and beginning with the 29-year-old socialist from New York who is both revered and feared inside her own party. Now, a few weeks ago, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called for an end to all fossil fuels, gas-powered cars, airplanes in 10 years, maybe take a little longer, and even cows. Free health care, free child care, free vacations, free paid leave, free higher education, free government healthy food, free. But now she is taking her insane views even a step further, actually questioning whether it's okay for we, the American people, to keep having children all because of climate change. And according to Ocasio-Cortez, the world is going to end in 12 years anyway. Why are we even talking about this? But take a look. This is scary because it's real.
There's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children?
Sitting U.S. member of Congress, a powerful member of our government, questioning whether or not it's okay for we, the American people, to have children. Now, like any good socialist, Ocasio-Cortez loves the heavy, oppressive hand of the federal government, wants to nationalize all business, the healthcare industry, the energy industry, doesn't understand that she'll still need a massive base of future taxpayers if she ever wants to fund this insane Green New Deal fantasies of hers. And according to a think tank, now look at this, led by a former director of the Congressional Budget Office, this Green New Deal could cost up to $93 trillion with a T dollars over 10 years. That's over $65,000 per year for 10 years in additional new taxes for each and every single American household. But she and Kamala Harris say cost shouldn't matter. And Ocasio-Cortez's socialist utopia fantasies are not based in reality. But that's why the Green New Deal has been soundly mocked and criticized by anyone that's thinking. But that doesn't concern Ocasio-Cortez because she's the boss. She says so. Let's take a look.
I just introduced Green New Deal 2 weeks ago, and it's creating all of this conversation. Why? Because no one else has even tried. So people are like, oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it.
Right.
Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss.
That's
How about that?
All right, sitting U.S. Congresswoman declaring she's the boss. Maybe someone might want to give her a copy of the U.S. Constitution so she understands that her boss is we, the American people, not the other way around. But what's really scary is how many prominent Democrats and their friends in the hate Trump media mob are lining up to support Ocasio-Cortez and her radical socialist views. Look at this. Over the weekend, the so-called paper of record in America, the New York Times editorial board, endorsed this insane plan. I wonder if they looked at the $93 trillion. They wrote that climate change is now putting our coral reefs and fisheries at risk. They report that ice is melting in Antarctica. It's a crisis, they say, and the only solution is full-on American socialism. Government control of every aspect of your life, the antithesis of freedom and liberty in our constitutional republic. After all, that worked out so great in Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, the former Soviet Union. Now, it's not just the far-left wackos in the mainstream media. This is the New York Times. Dozens of influential Democrats all across America are supporting this, including members of both houses of Congress. Nearly 80 Democratic lawmakers backing this bill. Maxine Waters, Eric Swalwell, Gerald Nadler, Congresswoman Tlaib, even Bozo O'Rourke backs the bill. And that's not all. Almost all the Democratic presidential candidates, they're on board, including Spartacus, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. That's right, the current frontrunner in the Democratic Party's bid to challenge President Trump in 2020 backs this $93 trillion destruction of wealth and the American dream. Which brings us tonight to our Hannity Watch on the 2020 radical Democratic candidates. Now, we're going to be vetting them all this week, all next week, and all year. But tonight we're going to begin with Kamala Harris, the California senator, fully supports this $93 trillion bill and to the oil industry, gas industry, healthcare industry, preventing Americans from eating red meat, abolishing gas-powered cars, airplanes, mandating that every house building in America be rebuilt and renovated for maximum energy efficiency, guaranteed universal income, guaranteed vacations, paid leave for all, higher education. They did so great with K through 12. We pay more per capita than any other country, and we have the worst standards. Guaranteed housing, retirement, all in 10 years. And Elizabeth Warren, guaranteed health care, all with your paid dollars, 93 trillion of them. But when Senator Harris was asked about this unrealistic cost doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is, well, what she says here.
There's no question we have to be practical. But being practical also recognizes that climate change is an existential threat to us as human beings. Being practical recognizes that greenhouse gas emissions are threatening our air and threatening the planet, and that it is well within our capacity as human beings to change our behaviors in a way that we can reduce its effects. That's practical.
Can we afford it?
Of course we can afford it.
Now, this is just one part of Senator Harris's radical vision to reshape the United States into a socialist utopia. Again, no country on the face of earth has created more wealth, more opportunity, more prosperity for anybody in the free world. We have increased the world's wealth because of our democratic republic. Anyway, take a look.
We need to have Medicare for all. That's just the bottom line. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. We've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing. And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. Education is a fundamental right. And we will guarantee that right with universal pre-K and debt-free college.
That's right. No tax rate is too high. Confiscation, redistribution, statism, socialism, redistribution, to each according to his need, from each according to his ability. Now, in Senator Harris, this ideal world of hers, we would all make her government rich and powerful, every aspect of our lives. Get ready, because she's coming, as rest of the socialist, extreme, radical Democrats, for your wallet. But Kamala Harris really isn't different from any other prominent far left wing who will vilify wealth, success, opportunity, risk, reward, capitalism, while making millions of dollars and enjoying the lap of luxury. Let's look at Vermont socialist, our friend Bernie Sanders, probably one of the worst offenders. Let's see, he owns 3 houses. They kind of look like mansions to me, making more than $1 million last year. Sanders has been an outspoken advocate for big government climate change policies, but he just loves riding around in a private jet. What about the carbon emissions? According to one Clinton campaign official, which, by the way, is a joke considering she traveled around in private jets. I saw it on the campaign trail, just like Al Gore, we caught him on a private jet. Said about the 2016 election season, His Royal Majesty King Bernie Sanders would only deign to leave his plush D.C. office or his brand new second home on the lake if he was flown around on a cushy private jet, like a billionaire, master of the universe, like the Clintons. And since 2016, the socialist has racked up $342,000 in private flights. And while demanding that we, the American people, we devote our life savings to battling climate change. And let's just recap what the 2020 Democrats are pushing for. Nearly all of them, open borders, eliminate ICE. Some want existing border walls torn down. They want to kill off private insurance. 187 million of us Americans will be affected and impacted because they want Medicare for all, but that's your only choice. End of the oil and gas industry, when for the first time because of President Trump, we have achieved energy independence in almost 70 years. And there's going to be so many tens and tens on hundreds of thousands of jobs, career-paying jobs, once we get the 2 pipelines, Dakota, Keystone, online. These presidents opened up Anwar. That makes us energy independent and the world freer, and we're not dependent on countries that hate our guts any longer for the lifeblood of our economy. Look at Elizabeth Warren pushing a wealth tax on your savings. In other words, you've already paid taxes on that money. She wants another bite at the apple. And when you die, even another bite at the apple, 40% worth. Another 10% if you live in New York. So you have Warren and Senator Kamala Harris. They're even now supporting reparations. And they want free health care, free child care, free vacations, free higher education, even college, free healthy government food. Again, does this sound realistic to you? In the real world, nothing is free. Democrats want to increase government's power by what is an extreme and very dangerous amount. They want more of your money, more control over your personal decisions, a massive regulation of your business, and they think we, the people, are stupid, helpless, uneducated. We're not smart enough to pick up on this. They think they can spend your hard-earned money better than you ever could for your kids, for your family. And that's why you hear commentary like this from, geniuses like Bill Maher. Take a look.
There are 2 Americas, and it seems like one is where all the cool jobs are, where people drive Teslas and eat artisanal ice cream. We have orchestras and theater districts and world-class shopping. We have Chef Wolfgang Puck. They have Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
Our roofs have solar panels. Theirs have last year's Christmas lights. The flyover states have become the passed-over states. That's why red state voters are so pissed off. They don't hate us. They want to be us.
Didn't he donate like $1 million to the Democratic election? Oh, yeah. What you see from Maher, very skewed, far-left narrative of what America and the people who live here are really like. By the way, Bernie Sanders, Bill Maher, they can open up their homes. They can bring in all the homeless people they want. Nancy Pelosi is a multi-millionaire. It's the reason why they are so quick to report obvious hate crime hoaxes that put the president, his supporters, in a negative light, totally ignoring real examples of Trump supporters getting attacked. Last week, we showed you the video of one Trump supporter being brutally assaulted, and he has 3 eyewitnesses. Is there any coverage, at least listening to his story? Of course, the hate Trump media mob ignored all of it. Earlier, another individual was assaulted because he was wearing a MAGA hat, which is now a trigger for the left. The person who attacked him was charged with assault and battery. But guess what? Yet again, story almost totally, completely ignored by other outlets. Doesn't fit their narrative. Hate Trump. Media mob. All things negative. And we'll have more on this coming up. And by the way, we're going to talk a lot about, really? This week, Democrats? They're going to put Michael Cohen on 3 committees while the president is trying to negotiate a nuclear deal that would denuclearize the entire Korean peninsula here in Vietnam. Now, we've come a long way, by the way, in just a short period of time. 2 years, 2017, President Trump took the reins from Obama on the brink of war with, of course, North Korea, the situation in Asia, a global catastrophe in the making, Kim Jong-un threatening to blow up Guam, shooting one missile after another over Japan, threatening to attack the continental United States and its allies on a daily basis. You probably won't hear this in the hate Trump media, mob media, but the president's peace through strength policies has been overwhelmingly successful. The president deployed multiple aircraft strike groups to the region, increased sanctions, squeezed North Korea's only ally, China, and making progress, as he talked about this weekend. The missiles haven't been fired in, 15 months? The threats have stopped. Kim Jong-un is back at the table discussing denuclearization. We got our hostages back. We got, the remains from the Korean War? And, of course, the president's given nothing in return to them. Yet the hate Trump Democrats' sick focus is back at home in the United States on the president's former attorney. They do this the week when the president is in Vietnam about something significant. I thought they said envision peace. Denuclearization? Frankly, a sick, ugly, psychotic example of hate Trump derangement syndrome. Now, by the way, don't forget Michael Cohen. We know he's going to jail for 3 years. Admitted to lying to Congress and on loan applications and tax fraud. He's going to spend years in prison. Really? You can't leave him and his family alone? And by the way, members of Congress hauling him up there to for more hearings, 3 of them. Well, how about maybe you think about this was the president's attorney, and when you think about the charges that he's faced, maybe it's time for the conspiracy-driven, obsessive hatred for this president to once and for all come to an end. And everyone around him needs to stop this because it's not going to accomplish anything for the country.